Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Happy freaking New Year. Almost. It's almost New Year's. So welcome. Today, since we're just about at the new year of 2025, I figured I would hop on and talk to you guys about creating a new you and creating a new year, because that's basically what it takes, so it's, we can do this anytime. And I think we do. Most of us on the path, we will, make adjustments as we go throughout the year and pause, reflect, see what changes need to be made. Hopefully we're doing that somewhat consistently, but boy, there's something with the collective energies as well. And this is something that I kind of resisted when I was younger. I was like, oh, it's cliche. It's everybody's doing it. I wanted to be different. And I didn't want to ride the coattails of anyone. So a lot of times I didn't participate in a lot of the things that were going on. I wasn't much of a holiday person. The New Year's resolutions, I would take this cynical, oh, those are stupid. And why does there have to be a certain day? And it's just cynical, thinking. I mean, really. And I mean, don't get me wrong. You can do this stuff, as I mentioned, anytime you want. But since there's a collective energy globally going on about generally around New Year's, the two outlooks are looking at the past year or your past in general and taking stock. Did I like it? Did I not like it? Are there things I would like to do different? Hopefully not beating yourself up. That serves no purpose. But taking stock in the past and learning from our past. Our memory is a beautiful gift, and it's there for us to learn from. Where our past isn't meant to be used to beat ourselves up, because that just holds ourselves down. I know we got conditioned growing up that punishment makes us be better, which is a lot of crap, but that's why we do it to ourselves, is because we got conditioned through that punishment was going to make us do better. And so, basically we became our own prison guards, just punishing ourselves over and over. And all it does is makes us feel horrible about ourselves and lowers our energy, so we don't have the momentum or the enthusiasm or the kind of the courage, I guess, because we're just beating ourselves up to move forward, because we just think of ourselves as a piece of crap that isn't capable of doing good things. That's what beating up does. So then why is that going to make us feel more capable of doing more in the future? Right? So it's, the concept of punishment, I believe, came from, this is going to sound weird, from nature. It's like there's an aspect of fear that is there to serve us. So if you put your hand on a hot stove and you burn your hand, you go, ow, that hurt. I shouldn't do that again, right? So you learn from it. And I think we've morphed that concept through ignorance into beating ourselves up over the past. And punishment as a means of dealing with negative aspects, things that we don't like. And it just, it's been proven scientifically that negative reinforcement does not change negative behavior. Only positive reinforcement does that. But yeah, we have all the prisons. It's just part of the society we live in. So we haven't figured out the change yet. So taking stock in the past is a good thing. Looking forward to the future is a good thing. Looking forward, and going, okay, I liked these things in my life in the past, so I want to bring those into the future. I like who I am in these ways. I like my experience in these areas. So I want to stay the same and continue doing what I'm doing next year into my future because I like that. Real complicated, right? It's real complicated. If you're enjoying the way your life is unfolding in certain areas, then you are thinking the way you should be thinking to get what you want to get in those areas. You are feeling what you should be feeling inside in those areas to get what you want to get, because that's how it works. That's why I entitled this Creating a New You/Year, because you have to create a new you to create a new year. You have to create a new you to create new experiences. It's again, it's not rocket science. It's like, have you ever seen people like just behaving the same way year after year? And then, they're like, oh, next year will probably be the same. Yeah, it probably will. Of course, not probably. It definitely will. Why? Because you're expecting it to be. So therefore, there's no catalyst for change. We create our future. We create our reality. We have this idea that when things get better in our life, then we'll be happy. And that's backwards. Like, first we have to get happy, and then things will get better in our life. Like, where we are the ones, we are the creators, we are co-creators with God. So we are the ones that are generating our experiences into our future. And it kind of sounds ethereal, but we've all experienced it. We've all changed our outlook on something, and then all of a sudden got a different experience. Everybody's experienced that. If you haven't, then just simply start keeping a gratitude list. Just keep a gratitude list. Every day, consistently. Your happiness is worth it. You can make that level of commitment. Just write down 5 things you're happy for every night. That's it. And watch. I guarantee you, your life is going to change to some degree. Now, and look for the changes. Don't sit there and go, oh, Glenn told me I could create a gratitude list and my life is going to change. So therefore, I kept a gratitude list for 2 weeks, and I am not a bazillionaire yet. And I haven't found the love of my life. And there's no new car in the driveway, and I still hate my job. So it doesn't work. Use your head. Fortunately, the energy works with us. So if we've lived like a negative, poor me, victim-oriented mentality, if we've lived in that for 40 years, it doesn't take 40 years for us to change that. But it also doesn't take overnight. We actually have to change the way we're thinking. That takes a little time. We have to create new neural pathways in our brain. We have to change the way we feel about things. And we can't lie to ourselves. See, that's what a lot of people do, is they go, no, I'm going to think different. I'm rich and successful and happy and have the love of my life. Okay. And they pretend that they're thinking like that. And they even might pretend that they're feeling like that. And all it is so they get what they want. They're trying to manipulate energy, and you can't manipulate energy. You're not going to outsmart God. Like, you actually have to just do. This is why I tell people all the time, just get lost in the work. And the work is just changing the way you're thinking, changing the way you feel about things. Just get lost in it. And then you're going to wake up one day just doing that, not keeping score, not going, am I there yet? Not, did I get what I want yet? None of that stuff. Just get lost in just doing it. And quite honestly, that gives gigantic rewards in itself. That will change your life in itself. Just getting lost in the doing the next right thing, thinking the way you want to think, feeling the way you want to feel. Just doing that over and over, making that like a giant goal of each day to do that to the best of your ability. Just do that, and you're going to wake up happy. But then you'll also start getting what you want in the future once that really takes place, and it actually shifts your vibration about who you are. Because that's really what it is. It's as we change our thinking, like really change our thinking, create new pathways so we are actually thinking differently and therefore feeling differently, because the way we look at things, the way we think about things generates our feelings, generates our emotions. So if I'm looking at life going like everything sucks, and that's the way I think, then I'm going to feel crappy. I'm going to feel down. I'm going to feel depressed. I'm going to feel negative. Why? Because I think that everything is crappy. If I look at everything and I go, wow, everything's wonderful, and then after what, that's going to generate a positive feeling inside. So as we change our minds, we can change our hearts. And so then that changes our vibration. Once we're thinking different and we are feeling different, our physical vibration, because we are energy, literally starts vibrating at a different rate. Right now, somebody that's negative is vibrating at a negative rate. Somebody that's positive is vibrating at a positive rate. But we have complete control over that. That's what's cool. So like, this is how we create our own lives, is by changing our vibration, changing our energy field, changing the music that's playing inside of our energy field. That is what actually brings new things. So this is like, when you're in a bad mood, I've been using this example a lot lately. When you're in a bad mood and somebody comes up and says, "Isn't it a wonderful day?" and you just want to choke them, just choke the crap out of them. Like, why? It's not because they did anything wrong, obviously, right? It's because they don't match your vibration. That's why. You're in negative headspace, and then this joyous, bubbly vibration comes along, and it doesn't match. It's like oil and water. It doesn't want to mix. There's nothing coherent about it. It's ugh. But then sometimes when you're in a really good mood and somebody comes in and they're like, "Oh, doesn't everything suck?" You're like, "Oh my God, please don't bring that in here." I don't want to feel that crappy energy. I feel good. I like feeling good. I don't want to feel that. Right? So this is why is we are vibrational beings. We are physical beings that have a vibrational rate. We are just energy vibrating. So if we are vibrating at a rate that's negative and defeatist, then we are going to get negative defeatist things. And then when we do, or when we see them, we're going to be like, "Oh yeah, that's right. That makes sense." Yeah, of course that makes sense, because that's only things that vibrate at the rate you're vibrating at are going to make sense or feel right, because they match your vibration. And people go, "No, I don't want to be negative." Yeah, you do. You do want to be negative. I mean, you don't. Nobody wants to be negative, truly. But when you're in negative headspace, you cannot help but feel like, I'll talk about feelings, because to me they're stronger than the thinking. So maybe you can identify with this better. When you're in negative headspace, negativity feels right. It feels like it's the truth. This is why it's so hard to get out of negative headspace sometimes, because you try thinking your way out of negative headspace. This is why you can't think your way out of negative headspace. You either have to just center yourself until you can get out, or you can take action, positive action, to get yourself out. But you can't think your way out of negative headspace, because the only thing that makes sense, the only thing that sounds right, the only thing that resonates, the only thing that feels like truth when you're in negative space is negativity. So when it's just like that person saying, isn't everything wonderful when you're having a crappy day? Like, you're going to be like, no, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel right. Does that mean it's not true? No, it doesn't. It's just, it doesn't feel right. It feels wrong because it doesn't match your vibration. Okay, so if you understand this, then you can understand how to create a new you, or create a new year. You're creating a new vibration. You're learning to look at things differently. One good way to do this, I did this many years ago, and I didn't really know what I was doing when I did it, but I was, just working on myself, man. That's all I did after I woke up. I would just work on myself in any way that came to me. So one day I was like I noticed the quality in somebody or something that I liked, I believe. And I went, wow, I really like that quality in a person. I'm like, I wonder what other qualities I like in a person. So I grabbed a pen and a paper and I made a list of qualities that I liked in a person. Honesty, integrity, self-respect, self-love, the ability to receive like compliments and things, stuff like that. And I made this list and I had it on my desk. And every once in a while I would look at it. And then what happened was, when situations would arise and I didn't know what to do, I would look at that list, because that list at the time when I made it represented a theology. It represented just some mythical person. But I didn't think of it as me. I just thought of it as a bunch of qualities that if a human being had them, not necessarily me, but just some other human being had them, I would respect that person because I would like the qualities that they have. So I just, whenever I didn't know what to do, I would look at that paper and I would read the qualities and I would be like, well, what does this imaginary person, what would they do in this situation? I'd be like, well, they'd probably do this. So that's what I would do. Right. And then I was sitting at my desk, I don't know, a few months later or something. And I looked at that paper and I started reading the qualities and I was like, oh my God, this is like, I embody these qualities, not perfectly, not all the time, but this is me. Like, I'm this person. How did that happen? Right? And again, it's an example of getting lost in the work. I wasn't trying to turn myself into this person. I was just doing what it took to turn myself into that person, not even knowing. And it worked all on its own. See, that's what's so good about it. Like the way, I try to do this often. And when I advise people, I try to advise them to do this. Get lost in the work, get lost in the work. This is why one of the main spiritual laws is non-attachment to an outcome. So because when we have an attachment to an outcome, we tend to try to manipulate, even on an unconscious level. So I wasn't trying to become this person. So therefore I couldn't manipulate. I couldn't lie to myself. I couldn't pretend that I was acting a particular way so that I would be able to look at myself a certain way. See, that's how insidious this manipulation is within us. It go on an unconscious level. It pushes us to lie to ourselves, to rationalize our behaviors, to pretend that we're doing something so that we can get the result, because we're focused on the result. So if you're not focused on the result, you don't have an attachment to the result, then you're not going to try to manipulate the situation. And right. So this is why getting lost in the work works so well, is because you're not trying to control an outcome. You're just trying to do the next right thing. This is why it's better than saying, this is one of the main problems with manifestation teachings, is they teach you to try to get what you want. And that's manipulation energy. It's not love energy. Manipulation energy does not create. Love energy creates. So what we're doing is we're just doing this manipulation energy over and over, trying to create something out of love, and it's not. And half the time it's on an unconscious level, so we don't even know that what we're doing wrong. We're like, I think I'm doing everything right. It's like, yeah, but on an unconscious level, you're lying to yourself. You don't really believe this. You don't really think this way. You're just acting like you think this way, or acting like you believe this way so you can get what you want. That's what's really happening energetically. And again, everything is energy. So you can't fool the energy. If you're trying to get a BMW and you're pretending to act in love because you think acting in love is going to get the BMW, you're not going to get the BMW, because you're pretending to act in love. You're not acting in love. Right? So to avoid that, we get lost in the work. So just be who you want to be, it's a reward enough in itself. You actually like who you are. You're like, there's all kinds of benefits that come from just living a good life. They're the most important benefits. It's little things like self-love, right? It's huge. I mean, walking around in a body where you loathe yourself in your life and walking around in a body where you love yourself, that's night and day, man. Those are my two lives. I've experienced both. I hated myself for 20 years just as an adult, not to mention the crap I went through before that as a kid. I guess I had the dichotomy when I was a kid. Maybe that's why I like dichotomy so much. I get to me, like all my tattoos and stuff, they're kind of a dichotomy, even though they're all spiritual and stuff. But I have short hair, and I like to be clean cut in certain ways, but I like to be adventurous in other ways. And so I've always liked that dichotomy. And I guess it's kind of part of my childhood. I had a really good childhood. I had a really, wonderful friends, lots of fun, a loving, good home. All that stuff was just beautiful. But I was also bullied, and I was also ADHD, and just got tortured in school and by the teachers and everything. And wow, that's a little dramatic, tortured. It's just, the best way to explain it is just hearing Glenn in a negative tone 100 times a day wears on your self-esteem. So, I had my difficulties in my childhood, but I also had a lot of good. And where it really turned was when I was about 14, 15. And then I just decided, okay, all the evidence supports that I'm a loser and a jerk and a no good person, and I can't be who people want me to be. So I'm just going to embrace that and just do whatever the hell I want and have some fun and just take all this pressure off myself from trying to be good. And then that just kicked off. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had tons of fun. And I've lived an amazing life. Like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. I can't even believe all the things that I did when I was younger, because I had no throttle. I just was all off. Like, I had no regulator. I was just, if I thought it, I did it. If it seemed like fun, I was there. If it was wild, I was involved. So, I mean, I had tons of fun, but the self-loathing that came from that, and the depression and the alcoholism, it was torturous. That was torturous. So I had that experience. I've walked around not liking the person that I was for 20 years as an adult. And then I woke up and started loving myself. And I've walked around like that for 20 years. And it's like, wow, it's night and day. Like, I would never go back to loathing myself. So just that in itself is enough of a change. Like that you win the freaking lottery just doing that. Now, a beautiful byproduct of that is when you're walking around loving yourself and you're walking around embodying good qualities, and then all of a sudden you feel good about yourself, and then you start thinking, well, why shouldn't I like have abundance in my life? I mean, of course I could. I love me. God loves me. I'm a good person. Like, I deserve good things. And of course they're going to come to me, and then they just naturally do. Why? Because they match your vibration. That's how the law of attraction actually works. You become a different you, and then the things that you attract into your experience become different. Yeah, the manifestation teachings, most of them I think are off. But it's all about, to me, it's all about connection and connection to source, connection to my source of love, feeling good about myself, feeling good about my life and who I am, and this existence that I live within, and having hope and joy and peace in my heart, and like walking around like that, and then like good things come to me. They just do consistently. And it's not because I'm trying to make good things come to me. They just do. It's that's the thing. You can't manipulate it. You can't make things come to you that you want. You just have to match the vibration of them. That's it. You just have to be vibrating at the one who has those, as the one who has those things. But most people, when I say that, what they do is they go, okay, I want $60 million in the bank. So I'm going to vibrate at one who has $60 million in the bank. Most people cannot just do that. Like, because what they want to do, they want to skip over the self-love part and just get the money. But you have to love yourself. Well, there are ways. See, yeah, I'm not going to get into this too much. I'm not going to, like, usually I like to show both sides of the coin. Like, I know what the ego says. I know what other people are thinking and what they're going to say, and go, well, that's not true, Glenn. There's plenty of millionaires that are bad people. And if they're bad people, then they can't truly love themselves. And yes, you're right. That's true. And I actually was able to, I'll just touch on it briefly. And when I was younger, I could manifest things very easily because of how much I believed what I told myself. Like, I mean, I believed I was lucky. I believed I could do anything that I wanted. So I did. A lot of times I believed that, I believed for a while that I couldn't die. And I went and did things that should have killed me, and they didn't. And I was like, see, but I truly believed it. The problem is it was egoic. Like, but I truly believed it. So therefore it worked. So, like, if you truly believe something, you can actually manifest through that. And that's what complicates everything, because every once in a while, somebody will tell themselves something over and over, and they'll actually believe it enough, even though it doesn't technically derive from a place of love, and from the powerful place. They'll actually do it enough where they actually manifest something, and then they think they got it, right? So they try to duplicate that. And most times you can't, because you can't manipulate energy that way. You actually have to believe it. And to get yourself to believe in something that isn't actual reality or goes against who you are as a person is very hard to do. I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm saying it's very hard to do. So like, and it's inconsistent. So the only way to really live a consistently good life and manifest good things consistently is just being good. Viewing yourself as good, thinking of yourself as good, acting as if you're good, being good, just, and then all of a sudden becoming that person. And then you are that person, and all these good things come to you. Like all kinds of things that you like, a house in paradise on a mountain that you didn't even know you wanted just comes to you. Just like, you don't even have to ask for stuff. It just comes. Whatever you need, whatever you want, comes. It's beautiful. So create a new you to create your new year. Create a new you, the way you look at things, your perspectives. You know, this is why, you know, sometimes my life coaching / spiritual advising is viewed as a luxury item. This is quite honestly how a lot of people view it in life. Oh, I'm going to get a life coach, work on myself for a while. You know, like it's something to do when you're bored or something. You know, and when life gets difficult, it's often the first thing that goes. Now, I'm not, you know, I'm a spiritual realist, so I understand that there are real life situations that prevent people from paying for my services at certain times in their life. I get that. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the excuses aspect of it, you know. And it's hard, quite honestly, it's difficult to tell the difference between those two, because the people that are in actual situations that can't afford the life coaching, sometimes it's just the reality of the situation, but it looks and feels the same as somebody who's lying to themselves. You can't lie to yourself without believing it. Otherwise, what's the point in lying to yourself, right? So, and trust me, I know this. I've been there. I've done it many, many, many times. So like, I've truly believed that I was stuck in my life at certain times when there's no such thing as being stuck. But I truly believed that I had tried everything and I had done everything and this was where I was and all that stuff. So, I mean, it feels the same. But like, I don't think that this type of work is a luxury item, because this is literally what creates new realities. Like, this is what I do for a living. I help people do what I did. Like, I've experienced it and I understand how it works, the dynamics of it. And it's not theory. I have never, ever in all my years, in the last 21 years, I have never seen anybody implement this type of stuff and fail, ever. So it's not theory to me. This is fact. If you do this, this is what you get. How do I know that? Because it's science. I've seen it over and over and over and over again. And the people who have tried to do it and hit walls, including myself, that's happened to me. And then later on, when it happens to me, I go, oh, okay, I see. I was actually lying to myself back there. I didn't implement it fully. I didn't do what I needed to. Sometimes I just wasn't capable at that particular time, you know? And the people that I've seen, it's pretty rare, but every once in a while I have clients that just don't get to where they want to be. And it's, you know, sometimes we hit those blocks. It's not, sometimes we're just not ready. You know what I mean? Like, it's nobody's fault. Are they not fully implementing this stuff? Yes, They're not fully implementing this stuff. Is it within their power to implement it? That's debatable. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Sometimes they're just simply not ready. But it's not because it doesn't work, because I can specifically see and point out and explain the areas where it wasn't implemented, where it could have been implemented. That's why I know that this works, is because even if it seemingly fails particular times, I can be like, well, you didn't do this, 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 and this. That's why it failed. Not blaming you. Maybe you're incapable right now. Maybe it's just not your time. But it's not because the system failed. It's not because the dynamics that I teach failed. I can literally show you where you didn't implement it. So if you don't implement it, it doesn't work, right? And then 90%, 95%, it does work. So you have that. This is why I say it's science. It's proven over time. I've been watching this for 21 years. And I have yet to see it fail even once where people actually implemented it all the way and it didn't work. Never seen it. So you can implement this. This is why it's not a luxury. It's like, what's more important than changing your life? What's more important than living a happy, peaceful existence? Nothing. You can have all the money, you can have the wonderful relationships, you can have all the wonderful things, you can have whatever you think you want, you can have it. And if you're not happy and peaceful inside, it isn't worth crap, because you're walking around unhappy and not peaceful. So what's the point? That's why, to me, this is the most important thing. So when you're thinking about what you're going to do for your new year, make it important, make it worthwhile. Create a new you, and you can have a new year. But if you stay the same you, you're going to have a similar year than you liked last year, than you did last year. So if you liked last year, then stay the same. You know, I mean, most people, like the dynamic is we're constantly growing, we're constantly expanding, we're constantly becoming more of ourselves. So my guess would be, if you had a great 2024, and then you should stay the same in, 3/4 of the ways, but there's probably 1/4 or 10% that you can tweak to have an even better year in 2025. So focus on that. If you had a crappy 2024, then start changing who you are. Start changing the way you look at things. Start changing the way you process information. Start changing the way you feel about things, including yourself and your life. And then you'll start experiencing a better 2025. And this is, there's a huge shift happening in the world right now. It's happening fast. And as we can see, the negativity is getting worse for those who are leaning into it. And the positivity is getting more and more profound for those of us that are leaning into that. So if you start now, like I truly believe this, the energy is just much more powerful now. So like, if you really, there's caveats to this, because see, this isn't 100% true spiritually. So I was going to explain it, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute, Glenn, that's not actually true. So, but I do want to touch on it. So I'll just explain it a little. Like 10 years ago, if you really tried working on yourself, most people would get really good results if you really try working on yourself. But you would only go from, like, let's say you were 75% happy and you were trying to work on yourself, and you went from 25% happy to 50% happy. That would be a huge change, and it would be really beneficial, and you would really like that. But that would be like 10 years ago. Now the energy is so strong that when you work on yourself, if you're 25% happy, you're bound to end up like 75% happy instead of 50% happy. The work we do provides much quicker and grander benefits now because of the shift that's happening, because of the energy increase. We're more powerful. We're more conducive to change now. The atmosphere is actually lightening for those of us that are changing and leaning into it. So the work you put in now just reaps better benefits. So I believe that transitionally, maybe I'll use that word to be true. It's just kind of how it is on planet Earth. Now, the part that isn't true about it is it's not eternally true. It's not spiritually true, because it's just alignment. It's like if you made the change 10 years ago that is required for you to go from 25% happy to 75% happy, if you made all that change, you would have made that jump. I'm just saying it seems like it was more difficult to make those changes. It's easier to make the changes now. Maybe that's a better way to explain it. It's not that the dynamic changed, because the dynamics are eternal. They're spiritual. They never change. So it's not that it's actually easier to go from 25 to 75 now than it was 10 years ago. It's just, it's the same amount of work. It's just easier to do the work because the atmosphere is lighter. The energy is lighter. There's a higher vibrational rate, which is more inducive to change. So it just seems easier. Is it technically easier? No, not technically. It just seems like it is because of the shift that's happening. So my point is if you tried 20 years ago or 15 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago, try again, because it's easier now. The vibration is higher. We're more conducive to change. There's more of us on the path now, which lightens the atmosphere, the collective vibration. So give it another shot. If you tried 3 years ago, try it again. I'm telling you, it's just that we're picking up momentum energetically, and that momentum feeds us. All right, so that's going to do it. Happy New Year. 2025 is going to be amazing for a lot of us. So step into it, enjoy it. Let me know if I can be of service. And I'll see you in the new year. Peace, people. Peace.